So talking about people making up false rhetoric and anything to suit their opinion, I think that brings us to Yay on Drink Champs.
Oh yeah. Just
So
go ahead, man. I'll let you start it
as
off.
you can probably link already the minds like what I'm trying to say on here. You know how my train of thought is gonna go when we talking about Ye. The dude has been documented and like he got problems, the bipolar thing. He done had multiple incidents in the media, out in public, just random stuff. Like when I go pay for him as a musician, I was glad that I didn't receive the show where he rants about something else, but others wasn't as lucky. Uh, and then like the way he talks, it elevates, it calls itself elevating the culture, is not how it's received or how it can be received, or how it can be translated amongst the masses. It works for Ye because Ye is fucking rich. For the rest of us, that nonsense he was talking about, I'm a nomad, my purse is my home, and look, I just went and got a bigger home. Motherfucker, like we got kids and stuff and gotta go to school. Your kids living with your wife and everything, so you can go live that nomadic lifestyle and be the typical dad that's not really there, but there kind of because you got money. You can say you can call and do all this other stuff, man. But no matter what, man, like that talk was nonsense. Like the home thing and all this, and then uh, I thought during the interview, they let too much of that nonsense talk go on without questioning. They was just doing it, and you could tell from the beginning. They said for the ratings, this is gonna be our biggest rated show. So they allowed for all this craziness just to keep going on without questioning what. How does that translate to everybody else? Yeah, you saying like people got to be more like this, but hey, we need jobs. We still got to have this. So everybody can't say, oh, just give up on that and chase your dream type little deal. Like, no, I got to put food on the table. I got to keep my job. So I understand this. And you go out and create these situations because of where you done did in your life and how you done elevated constantly. It took years to get up to that level where you can be in the room with these designers and everything and all these people that you put on, and you done network and got your way where any room that you done went into, like somebody that you kind of put on and work for, so you can have conversations. That's not Big Sean. That's not John Legend. Soldier Boy, you taking him off the record like that. That's money out of his pocket and stuff like this. So you gotta realize how you are different from everybody else, and the way that you translate your talk is not going to translate for the masses. We can't go out there and talk crazy. We can't go out there and live out a purse. We gotta have a home. We gotta have kids. We gotta feed these people. We ain't got friends in every city that we can just go bum and lay at their house and stuff like this. That lifestyle don't work. I'm glad that it's working for you and you figured out that you got so much money you don't have to spend money no more. The rest of us got to find out how to get to that money. So unless you're gonna start donating those billions that you're talking about and you want to be the trillionaire and all this little stuff, then your mindset and everything does not work for me. It's a crazy person talking. And then how uh, you use God and all this little stuff and like that part. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. With the way he talks about God and everything, it sounds like a crazy person. How all them saying, "Oh, God sent me. God made me do this." Like it's too much. It's too much for me. When he's sitting there, not even was making an effort to take away from all the poisons and stuff like that that can have you having irrational thoughts. When he's sitting there drinking on Drink Champs, when he's sitting there smoking, but at the same time, in the same breath, want to call like God and all this little stuff. I understand not everybody's perfect, but you at least got to try and be that great role model for this if that's the image that you're trying to portray. But if the image you're trying to say, oh, I could do all these evils and still be good, yeah, yes, you can, but you can't be the leader. You can't. You can't be the leader with doing that. Like, how are you gonna get everybody in if you saying still go to your vices? It's some alcoholics out there, bro. There's some real alcoholics out there, and you're telling that you're going to show them that this is the way. Nah, bro. Like, a lot of that shit. Like, I just don't buy into yet.
Well, you said a lot. You said a mouthful. But I want to give people a little bit of the highlights of the interview and just how I felt about it. Like, so I thought it was a great interview in terms of just letting Ye be Ye. As far as the crazy part, I think he sounded the most sane I've ever heard him sound in the last couple years in terms of how he presented the information, how he went about the certain things he was saying. And I think from an interviewer aspect with DJ EFN and Nore, I think they let him go for the most part in wherever he wanted to go, which is kind of what I would do if I had a artist. And, you know, we've had people on our podcast to where we've had people who are a little bit more forthcoming with information and or just articulate themselves a lot better, and they're able to get their thoughts out regardless of whether we agree with them or not on what they're saying. Like, you allow them to cook because that's what apparently the people are there for. And again, with the challenging Ye and things like that, I'm not sure if that's Nore and EFN could have probably challenged them a little bit more on some of the thought process and things that he was saying, but for the sake of the interview, you got to kind of let him go just based on how well it was going. Like, normally Nore interrupts everybody in his interview style, and that's what he gets a lot of shit for. But this time, hell, the interview was Kanye interviewing himself. You know what I mean? Going off on random tangents and bringing it back. A lot of people took a lot of headshots in terms of, you know, Big Sean, Talib Kweli took a headshot. Just Blaze, unnecessary.
I didn't feel like Talib Kweli took a headshot. Talib Kweli, he just, because when it was presented, Common or Talib Kweli, he said Common.
But
that's
then he
his
went
opinion.
further. He went further.
He explained his opinion. He explained his opinion of why. I mean, and that's a good argument to put forth on that. But is everybody gonna agree with that? No, probably not. Well, I mean,
most people. When you do
does,
the verses,
if you're giving me the two choices,
yeah, for sure. I'm picking them. Like, that's what Nore does every single episode. I had no problem with him being direct in his choices. I had no problem with him saying what he said. Like, at the end of the day, man, when you listening to these type of interviews, you want the artist to be truthful or how they feel, and sometimes everybody's not going to be PC. We say we want answers that are not PC. Well, shit, you got a mouthful of non-PC answers. The only person that he didn't want smoke with in terms of how he was talking was Jay. That's probably the only one that was safe. Everybody else, you know, I think he really dove into how his version of how his relationship with him and Ye, I mean, not Ye, but Drake and that shit. I think how he described Drake is the very same way on how he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, throwing the rocks but hiding your hand. He said, you know, he was talking about how Drake wars and where he'll go DM people in your family, your ex-girl, or say certain things or move 5 blocks away from you. And he's into the long-term game in regards to beefing. Not necessarily beefing on wax. And I think Ye does the same shit.
That gave me more respect for Drake, honestly. That gave me more respect for Drake.
But I think
he ain't no gangster, but he knows how to get at people.
Get at you.
You know what I mean? And like, that is some
you know
slick
what I mean?
shit.
So, but I think Ye does the same thing in terms of things I've heard about Ye, where he's probably behind the scenes. Hit Boy. I watched the Hit Boy interview with Rory and Maul yesterday. And Hit Boy was talking about how Ye's camp, or it came from Ye, was telling people not to work with Hit Boy. So the same thing that you accuse Drake of, you were doing the same thing for other people that you used to work with. So it really was more eye-opening in terms of, like, you feel a certain type of way about Drake, but you do the same type of thing to other people. And that really, for me, it was like, man, this it really got to the point where, like, this industry, you know, is shady, the contracts and everything, but the relationships are so trivial. It's so childish in terms of don't work with him. It's like fucking adult high school. It just seems like, and it's whack. It's totally whack. But back to the interview. So, you know, I think the Just Blaze shot, albeit was unnecessary, but I think it was good conversation in terms of him calling Just Blaze a biter, because this isn't the first time that you heard Just Blaze
Just
being a
Blaze.
biter in producer circles. Bink has called him out for that, and Bink was on Twitter actually doubling down on that, and other producers have said that, and then with the but people have said that about Ye too, in terms of the Common B album, how he sound like Jay Dilla, and all these different type of things. So a lot of the stuff is like, okay, yeah, you said this, but we could flip the coin and see how people felt like, your production style wasn't unique. And then the last thing about Just Blaze I say, which I felt like it was an unnecessary shot, is yes, y'all both worked on the blueprint. Yes, Kanye was in the building in terms of just being one of those staples for the Rockefeller sound during that time. However, for the blueprint, there was an assignment. And Jay-Z said the assignment was to make this a cohesive body of work. He was on Twitter Spaces and they were talking about The Harder They Fall, but somebody asked him a question about the Ye interview in Twitter Spaces, and then he just was like, yo, everybody that works on an album, the assignment is to make it the best possible work. Everybody's a team player in this. So if Just Blaze came in and did soul samples, that was the assignment. So Jay kind of brought it full circle. And so it's definitely something between those guys. And I know it was always a rivalry internally of who can make the best beats and who was the go-to guy. But at the end of the day, you can't take anything from Just Blaze in terms of his production, the different type of production he's done over the course of his career. And, when you compare the two, there's no comparison because it's what you value. Ye values what he values in terms of the fashion industry and money and friends with these people, Elon Musk and all that. And Just Blaze values what he values, his anonymity, playing video games, just having enough money to be happy and do what he does outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Just don't ever have to do music again. But he seems to be pretty fucking happy. And that's Just Blaze to me represents the other people in the industry that I produce. I want to be in the background, and whenever I want to produce, I come to the foreground and do my thing. So it was a lot of different things that were going on in that interview in terms of just it. To me, it's already at like 5 million views. Like, this is probably gonna blow anything out the water in terms of interviews for the year and be the most talked about interview. I mean, we're talking about it.
So where I will get on that, like, I believe, this is very evident that Kanye is just a narcissist, and like the dude, he wants all of the praise all of the time. The things that you're talking about that he does, and like, if you're gonna be a leader, people are gonna mimic your leadership styles, your leadership traits. You're a leader. If you're a leader in music, the music is gonna start like going towards that way. So producers are gonna produce towards that way. You want to be called the leader, but you don't want anybody to do it the way that you did it, or it makes no sense to me. Like, if you're the leader, the people are gonna mimic it. It's gonna happen. Like, that's part of it.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about Just Blaze, like, are you upset that he just didn't say, he don't come out there every time and say Kamye West do it? No, you're the leader at the moment. So everybody's gonna try to make a sound that's like that, because that's what everybody want, but everybody can't afford Ye. So I could be the next halfway Ye, and and give him these beats and make me a money and come up. When he was talking about it with all the fashion people, you know what I mean, and like they went in different directions. Could you pay the same thing that Balenciaga is gonna pay him? Could you pay the same thing that Gucci is gonna pay them over here? If not, that's the reason they went on these other avenues. You still got the networking power to get in those buildings now. You got to understand it on that level of leadership. You know what I mean? And that point's like, everybody wants to grow. Like, they may have ideas. You may be stunting their growth because you want all the credit, and they have plans to go even bigger and better. But as long as you're their boss, they can't get bigger than you. So they're gonna expand, and they're gonna try to make a name everywhere else, so their name is more recognizable along with your name. So if they want to make an off brand, then they can make an off brand years down the road. that you're stunting them at that point. So he just a leader that wants all the credit and all the praise heaped upon him, and he don't truthfully want to see anybody grow bigger than him.
Or he
And I
doesn't
think
want,
that's a
or he
problem.
doesn't want honesty in his circle in certain
Yeah.
instances. So I want to get to Big Sean, the Big Sean portion of it, because that's a big, huge, glaring thing that occurred in that interview. And I also want to get to the rapper being labeled a rapper versus artist. So I'll start with that. How do you feel about the rapper XXXXX? This happens, like the headline. How do you feel about him being in the spaces and they be like Kanye the rapper or Ye the rapper or anybody else? How do you feel about those connotations to
So
where
with Kanye, this is the one person that this is the one thing he said that I would absolutely have to agree with. With him, he has been an influencer, he has been a fashion star, he has been a producer, he has been a rapper. I understand not wanting to be labeled as just a rapper when that's not how he came in and that's not how he started. That's not what he's continually involved in. The dude is just a flat out entrepreneur. You know what I mean? He does it all. You know, he's a one house, one stop shop. Like I like what he said about the verses. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into that in a
yeah.
minute. But this is where he talked the sanest part to me. It was just like, okay, I could definitely understand that, and I could see how you can be ticked off with the media calling you that because they're trying to pigeonhole you. When you're trying to make this business deal, they only gonna say, "Well, you're just a rapper," and that's not true. Like you have so many other accolades. So if they can stop calling you that all the time, you don't have to go in with a complete resume and announce yourself when you want to go into these business deals. They should already know it. It's everywhere instead of just a rapper.
And my thing is, Prez, where I felt him on that is, do they call Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake, Adele, an R&B artist, or just artists, recording artists?
Artist, recording artist.
So what's the difference between Nat and a Lil Boosie? They're both artists, right? They're both artists, regardless of the genre of music. But it just seems like the rapper, when talked in circles and non hip hop circles, it's like a negative connotation. And I've always thought about that for years. And I was like, shit, he hit it right on the head with that, especially when you're operating in spaces that he's operating in terms of trying to get into the fashion industry. And I have my issues with how he feels he should be treated in the fashion industry because, look, you're not in this industry. And as you climb, you know what I mean, you got to learn the ropes and you just can't jump right to the front based on name. Will that get your foot in the door and a lot higher than anybody who's just coming from meager means to get into the industry? Absolutely. But you can't expect to be respected until you get your weight up, just like you in music. You had to get your weight up. You had to bogart, had to navigate the industry, all the bullshit that comes with that to get to be who you are. It's the same way in all these other
I think
industries.
what you're trying to say. I think what you're trying to say is like you have set fashion and you have set fashion trends throughout your time, but have you created and sold? Because that's what the business side is going to look at. What can we sell off what you did? And that's the part that he had to build up. Like, yeah, are you like all this trendsetter, but I can't give every trendsetter this type of job because who knows where they're going to be in 2 years. People change, you know what I mean? People stay in the same. You may just be hot for this moment. Like you got to have that little cachet built up with you, and then I would like to see what your product sold. You know what I mean? You brought these products out here. How many of these units did you move? How many was you able to sell to this store, that store? Those are the things I'm gonna I'm gonna want to do. Now, him having his own boutique, that may work for him. That may be the thing, you know, have a little boutique and have X and X amount of items. And as long as you sell out of all those, you continue to make money. That's how those little boutiques like kind of work. Is the rarity of it. You know what I mean? That may work for you, but like on the bigger scale, which that company is probably thinking about, like I don't think you need to have your own damn line.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
you know,
proven
again
yet.
with Adidas, he's done his thing. Like, don't get me wrong, like he's done his thing numbers wise in terms of just the line that he had with Adidas and shoes and all that stuff. Like his own line, like he's doing his thing. But I think he likes to skip steps in terms of just respecting certain arenas. and he was mentioning the Elon Musk and all the other names.
I want to jump. Let me say this because I want to get misconstrued. I think he has built that now, and he has that now. I'm saying like the way he was talking like that, he wanted that recognition immediately way back then.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. Now he got the catalog and he can have these conversations and he's getting into these Gap and all these and being the heads and, making this much money. He has all that. But at the early onset, like I think when he was having the Nike Adidas, like I understood Nike's point and, I can understand that at that business point, like it's not there yet. It's not there yet. You got a little bit more work to do, But he explained the whole Nike situation, how if he had stayed at Nike, he wouldn't even have all this. It'd be kind of painted in the corner and he'd have restraints put on him like, yeah, you can't do this. But the minute he sold himself as the brand, he was able to kind of step away from that way. They can't like take anything away from him, no matter all the craziness going on in his life. That part. All right. I didn't mean to steal you, Sharon. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my point. Is just like there's different steps, whatever business you get into. Like I know there's different things I want to do outside of the podcast or outside of when I retire from the military and all those different type of things. But you got to understand, I'm starting at ground level wherever I start to do. So I got to, earn my keep. That's all I'm saying. So I think he had made several points in that, and just like all of the different big names he would drop and all that, whether they respect him on the same level or not and how he feels about it, I can understand where he's coming from. In terms of like, no, I am equal to you guys. The only reason these guys are valued at a certain level, Elon Musk and the Mark Zuckerbergs, is the dollars that they bring in. It has nothing to do with how influential they are in their respective spaces, because I will venture to say that just kind of following both of them, these guys are respected equally in their separate spaces. You know what I mean? So it's just different what they bring to the table in terms of value. You know what I mean? So that was dope. But I want to get to the Big Sean thing. I want to keep it back on to the music and that dynamic. That was that was a big one, man. That was a big one for me in terms of like, wow, the worst signing that you ever had. Like what is it? Is it the fact that he went with he's rolling with Hit Boy? He started his own thing. Is it Big Sean not really aligning with his political views, because there was things that Big Sean said. I
think it's multiple different things up in there. I personally think it was multiple different things and it's reason. And I think it's recency too, that he's on this. He's probably, it sounds like he's still hurt about like him, the way he approached it and the way they kind of split. This is like hot for the moment, and he has his argument about the ass. That shit had me rolling. Like that's how you want to be remembered. That's how you want to come out on this, man.
Sure. That shit was hilarious. But I mean, again, like I thought about it, like I don't like that song, but again, I would yay on that. Like you might want to rethink this single, but whatever, But yeah, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so but I mean, is Big Sean an artist that I don't think deserve to be where he at? No, like I don't feel that way. I feel like he's fine in the industry out there. He done grew on me over time, as you know. Like I really appreciated his last album, not his most recent project, but the last album that he actually had. And then but Ye, he kind of wants to be in control, and I think like when he went out there and he talked about the contracts, and Big Sean kind of put him on Front Street just like he was putting everybody else on Front Street, I think he felt some type of way at that point about it. And then now when Big Sean views on the line with him, he want him to just shut up and not be quiet, but he's offered to go up there and speak. And this was a lot of like contradictory stuff that I think Kanye did throughout the whole time frame. He can question everything, but we can't question Ye. Like that part that was the main thing I was getting out of this. Why can you question everything, but nobody can question Ye? That everything you go into, you can like, why do they want us to do this? Why do they want to do it? Well, Ye, why do you want to do something different? Why does it have to be that way? Who has you talked to have a voice other than yourself to come up with a plan? Do we have multiple different options? It should never be this or that. There's always multitude of different ways. So are you opening up to everybody? You're constantly talking about all the Christian values. What about the Muslims that's out there? How does that align with their values and what they're going for? So tell me, how does that fit in? Are you going to be open to them, or is it just a strictly Christian thing for you? Like, so all that kind of played into it. Was just like him questioning everything and not really. Everybody can have ideas. I think I got an idea on how to fix the black community. I ain't got enough people to make it work. You know what I mean? So it's just an idea, and the way I want to do it is gonna. Anything that's gonna do is gonna take time. So unless you're getting these people together and you're actually building all this up, you got a bunch of want and all this other nonsense. It's not actual things that's gonna come to fruition. If you're talking about the basketball thing you was talking about with LeBron, he got to hand that trophy off to somebody else. You built another league, but your league ain't built to go against the NBA. It's not. So what other option does LeBron have? You know what I mean? If that's how he got to make his money, you started off in the music industry and built your way up. LeBron started off in the basketball and he has expanded to other things off that. That's going to be his little platform to come off of. But you're saying it in broad terms for everybody, and everybody should be doing this, but we got to go off our platform and build up and come up to that level. Like, it's not all these people just going to immediately buy in to what you're going to do unless you're going to cover some of the risks that they got to take on all these business. They only mess with black business. Who's covering the risk on all this stuff? If I got to go to this bank and get my money, like, this is why I got to do it, yay. I got to follow the same little plan that's been documented and put out there for everybody else. Create a bank, create a new NBA league, create a new NFL. Like, unless you're doing that, stop with the fucking nonsense that only works for you and your fucking lifestyle.
Yeah, and back to the Sean thing, man. I just think that
my fault.
I know you went off on the tangent. I was like, where's he going? Where's he going with this? But back to the Sean thing, man. I think that Sean isn't like super innocent in the thing. Like, remember that Benny the Butcher song? I think it was called "Timeless" that came out maybe a year and a half ago, where he was talking about he's gonna turn good into great. He signed a slave deal. Like, Sean been talking spicy in the raps and all littered throughout his last project. Not the last project with Hit Boy that just came out, the EP, but his last album, Detroit 2. There was a lot of little lines and bars, just going back to the Drake conversation, where Big Sean does the same thing, where there's certain things that only you and I know that when you say these things in these raps, it can be perceived as you're talking about me. And then if I'm the person, like, you know what I'm saying? Me and you both rap. I know what you're saying. It may not resonate with everybody else because I don't want to put it on Broad Street and straight diss you, like some people like to be direct with their diss records. But I think the Drakes of the world and a lot of other rappers, they like to do the innuendos, or not innuendos, but the sly comments and slide them in there. If you catch it, you catch it, and then
the subtleness
of it. And then if you catch it, wait for you to jump out the window, and I'm just playing chess with you, because if you jump out the window, I'm waiting for you to go first so I can come back and smash. In terms of just rap battles, rap beats, or whatever, however it go. And I don't think Big Sean was absolved of any of that. And in terms of the slave contracts, slave deals, and all that, man, all these deals in the industry, man, no matter who you are, whether you sign to Puff, whether you sign to Steve Rifkin or any of, Leo Cohen, wherever these record labels are, they all come back to not really benefiting the artist. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't matter what they are. They're not easy to understand, and everybody gets, excuse my language, everybody gets fucked on their first contract, maybe their second, as they're learning their way through this industry. And that's unfortunate that the industry is this way. I was reading an article the other day that even Puff, I know, wait a minute, even Puff lost money on the locks. We had the whole locks, let the locks go campaign and all that stuff. At the end of the day, he lost money signing them, taking care of all of their expenses and all that, it comes with that package. He lost money. Now I'm not saying that because you are from a certain ilk, Kanye or Puff or Rick Ross, like everybody, like Rick Ross, like even Meek was tweeting the other day about his contract and releasing his contract. Who are you talking to, Meek? Who are you talking about? It can be perceived as this. You know what I mean? As you're talking about Ross, or you maybe who you're talking about, the label. You got to be very specific when you talk about these contracts and what type of contracts, how you would treat it, and you know what actually happened. Because when you come from nothing, these people are taking huge chances by financially backing you and putting their arm around you as well, saying you the next one. You're the next one up. So there's a lot of give and take, and there's a lot of money it takes, as we know, to make an artist who has a very low buzz pop. You know, what if I started rapping today? You know how much money it's going to take for me to be in the social consciousness of everybody that listens to music, from, you know, that Twitter space all the way up into people that listen to music at their leisure. That takes a lot of money that I got to throw at it. So
it only takes 60,000. We just talked about this. Jordan Lucas thought 60,000 was going to take him to the top.
Yeah. So it takes millions of dollars for you to be a household name. And we all know the rap accounting business is terrible. You know what I mean? Like, how are you ever going? Nobody is accounting for all of the stuff that these labels put into you. So it's just a effed up game overall. So I say all that to say this. I say that no, he wasn't the worst signing by far. Like, he was probably one of your best signings. And Big Sean is one of those guys amongst the current crop from the 2010s on up, the guys that's been doing it the last decade, the J. Coles, the Drakes, the Kendricks. I think Big Sean is right there in terms of just coming in that era and just continuously getting better at the music aspect of it and other things he's done. But at a certain point, you got to start respecting your artist, because he's 10, 12 years into the game. He has to grow. The same way you want to be respected in these spaces, with the Elon Musk and all the other big wig names that you mentioned, you got to allow these guys to grow. So when they start to have a voice, they see things different in year 5, in year 7, in year 10, and they're going to be more vocal with you. So at a certain point, they become your peer, you're not just a boss, they're your peer, and they want to be a boss too, because they have other people to take care of. And it's only right, knowing what they know from over the course of 10 to 12 years, that they either come up from under you and you support that. If you're a real friend, a real boss, you support them going out to do their own thing. You don't make it hard for them. You don't go out here and shit on a Hit Boy in terms of, hey, don't do work with Hit Boy because you don't like some shit that Hit Boy said to you directly to your face. This is based on the Hit Boy interview. Go watch Rory and Maul's interview. It was really good if you know hip hop head in terms of what I'm talking about. But that's the type of thing, like, just from a human aspect, it just doesn't seem like Ye is the type of friend or the type of boss I ever would want to have. You know what I'm saying? Because all of the shots that he took at all these people, while it's good for ratings and a good interview and all that, he was very direct. Fam, if you've never said that to these people and you're texting them other things, like Talib Kweli was on, I think on Twitter or somewhere, he showed all of the different remarks in which he lauded Talib Kweli for letting him stay at his place when he was first coming up. Bro, you can't forget about those things. Now that you in a position of power, you can't forget about where the fuck you came from. And that's the type of shit that I don't value in a man. I don't care if you Kamye West. I don't value that. Like, if I've ever helped you out, or if I've ever done something to you, or if me and you have a problem, I should be able to tell you. I should be able to tell you that. Now, if I go back on the interview and I tell everybody else, but me and you should at least have a conversation. And if I'm asked that on the interview, I should be able to be truthful about a conversation we had, or you should, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But that's the type of shit that where I was like, yeah, man, you ain't allowing your artist to grow. And plus, you in a different space to where you have your hand in a lot of different things. So how good music started, where he was all about the music, actually producing, hands-on, being in the studio with his artists, he's no longer doing that. So I gotta go, man. Like, the Kanye stamp don't mean as much as it meant 10 years ago. And And that's how I feel. Like Tiana Taylor, again, I brought that up the other week or on a pod. She's another artist that's fighting to get away from good music.
Saha.
Saha the Prince. So it's not that I think he's like as bad as a businessman, because I don't know the business, I don't know the specifics of it. But if all of those people are complaining about their issues, John Legend is another one that took a lot of headshots in this interview, in terms of his feelings toward Kanye and being, his political preferences. Which, come on, Ye, man, like everybody doesn't have to agree with your politics or even support your candidacy, because it seemed like lunacy at the time. And you just can't expect that. You know what I mean? People don't have to ride with you in
Just
that
because they
instance.
ain't yes men. That's what I got. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people wasn't yes men, and they was talking bad in the media. Bro, like if I tell you face to face that I don't agree with you, I got all right to say that in the media as well.
Right.
I'm not trying to bring you down or nothing like this, but at the same time, I'm not trying to have you as my fucking president.
And I don't think anybody said anything egregious. And like, I'm not, I don't have all the receipts here in terms of what because Common took a shot, even though he big Common up with the verses, Common versus Talib. He also said something negative in terms of Common and not necessarily agreeing with his political views. Again, man, everybody not going to agree with you, and you can't be childish enough to take a shot at them because they didn't agree with you and how you presented yourself. Like, maybe these people are actually serious about who they vote for and need to hear, you really, really be all in if you're going to be all into this. But like, overall, man, this was a interview for the books, man. And I think Nore did a great job. It's so many, like, like we have pods where whether we interview people or not, where I'll be like, damn, I wish I would have said that, or I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have went this angle with it, because I was thinking about it prior to the interview but got caught up in the conversation. And I think that for the most part, if I had to rate this interview, it's probably like an 8.5 out of 10 in terms of just keeping my attention, the interviewee being forthright and very open and honest with how they felt, regardless of whether I agree with it. He was polarizing, and it was the Kanye effect all over again. And this is why he feels he can do what he wants to do and act the way he want to act. But I want to end with, I don't think I saw crazy in this interview.
What?
I don't think I saw crazy. I thought I saw a narcissist speaking his truth. Yes, I would have liked to hear him come out and say he was clinically diagnosed with being bipolar. And does he agree with that clinical diagnosis? But this is Nore. This is Drink Champs. Do I expect him to come back to that question or really dive in to the mental health thing? Like, we're into the mental health
I
thing?
only
No.
answer to God. Let me have another drink, bro. Let me take a shot. I only answer to God.
Yeah,
Can I smoke this right here? Bro, cut out.
Exactly, but what do you expect? It's a Drink Champs interview, so I didn't expect him to get that deep into his mental health aspect, which I would have loved. I would have loved him to do that, but he didn't. And so, again, man, I overall think it was a great interview. It's going to be talked about for weeks and weeks on end, and I'm not sure how they top this outside of getting Drake on Drink Champs, or maybe Big Sean, or somebody, not, they're going to do numbers with Drake to address the issue from their
I think you have Soulja Boy on there. You let Soulja Boy on for a little bit.
I didn't even mention the shot Soulja Boy got. Like, but that was shit that was honest, bro. Like, that was honest too. That's what I'm saying. Like, yo, it was whack.
We got to wrap up because I got to get going here. But I'm glad that you thought it was an interesting interview. Truthfully, if I didn't have to listen for this pod, man, and have good conversation about it, I would have turned that shit off after like 5 minutes. Ye is Ye to me. He's fucking crazy. He makes good music from time to time. What he'd have made ever since My Dark Twisted Fantasy has not been that great to me. He leans too heavy on all the features and everything. After that, it's just not great music. It's not the Ye that I like. You know what I mean? So. Music wise, his thoughts on business, his thoughts on everyday life, his thoughts on Christianity, his thoughts on all that, like, it just don't align with me or anything that I kind of see. Everything is from a rich person perspective now, looking back and saying everybody should do this, when you're not really looking at that come up part and how we're able to do this. Unless you can map out that plan, I ain't got time to hear this other bullshit that you're talking about. And your the way you treat people and not want anybody to get bigger than you, like that part just kind of me. But after 5 minutes, I would have turned that off. I'm telling you the truth.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
The
enough.
way he came out and did everything else, like bro, like I was like, yeah, we about to get the same old, you're gonna get some crazy talks, you're gonna get some snippets and stuff out of this that you're gonna be able to run with for years and years, but it's nothing to change my outlook on Ye.
Yeah, man. With that said, man, it's episode 133. We was all over the place. This was good conversation that happens. What a week in the culture, man. Like what a week. Like it's just so and it's so many things that we've left off. Like it's just so many
Yeah,
things that
yeah,
happened this week
yeah. It's a
that
lot.
we haven't even got a chance to address, man. So Kanye, Aaron Rodgers, Ye, the artist formerly known as Kanye. Ye, Aaron Rodgers, Kyrie, Henry Ruggs is just we just all over the place, man. But that's the episode, man. You guys make sure you follow us at Don't Sleep Net on Instagram and Twitter. Let us know how you feel about the episode. Hit us in the comments on wherever you guys stream our podcast. Rate us as high as you possibly can rate us, and then still one from my man Bomani Jones. Anything less than 5 stars, I can deem you a hater. You know what I mean? Because I know we do a good job each and every week, so y'all rock with us. And last but not least, if you rock with us, definitely go to our patreon.com/DSC_podcast. Drop a few dollars to your boys if you want to become one of our Patreons to get bonus episodes, or if you want to just make a one-time donation, that's totally up to you. We work hard each and every week to get these things out, and it provides you guys some sort of release from the real world, whatever's going on in your life for the amount of time that you allow us in your speakers and in your home. So we appreciate that.
If you got to shout out everybody else's name and say, I was in the room with this person, then you ain't the true leader of that situation. If they're not saying your name in those cases, you're not the leader. Leave it
Episode
at that.
133, Don't Sleep on the Couch podcast. Cash and Mr. Press, we out.